Hey, what's up everyone? Nero here from BuzzStream. Today I wanted to talk to you about why you should be avoiding those guest post spreadsheets like these at all costs. Most of the time, these sites are not quality sites. They're going to move the needle, and I'll show you why. But before I do, I want to remind you all to like and subscribe to this channel for more great tips like this. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you exactly how to find sites where you can actually get guest posts and quality links. All right, let's get into it. So I should probably start by saying I'm not anti-guest posting. In fact, I just did a whole video and blog post about why guest blogging is still effective. We also have an entire post of guest post sites where I've gone through and evaluated other people's lists and found quality sites. So here's an email I received yesterday. Randomly, someone shared this spreadsheet of guest post sites. Let's pop into this and actually look at what we're working with here. So I'm seeing a lot of interesting things here. The price, which seems extraordinarily low for these. Ahrefs domain rating, Ahrefs domain authority. Obviously, this is incorrect right off the bat. This should be Moz domain authority, but I'm not going to sit here and nitpick all this. What I really want to do is show you why a lot of these placements are not quality. Let's pop into Tech Magazines, just take a look at what we're working with here. Now, this is a general site that just shares a lot of tech news. What I'm seeing here is them covering a lot of different topics. It's not a well-designed site. There's a lot of ads, and these are all signals to me right off the bat that this is not going to be a quality site to get a guest post on. You jump into the posts themselves, and what I'm looking for are things like this, super intrusive ads within the post itself. I'm not seeing links or sources for anything. Let's do another one of these like tech sites. Let's look at ISPS News Interpress Service. Here we see that they are saying Ahrefs traffic volume is 64K. And when I look at this, I'm actually seeing traffic volume is actually 73. So let's click on this and understand what is happening here. And you'll see that as helpful content updates have rolled out throughout the years, the content has completely fallen off the map. Regardless of the fact that this is domain rating 80, that should not be the end all be all. It is super important to evaluate the sites on more than just what you're looking at, DA and DR. I'll get into a little bit more of that. Let's keep going down this list because there are some interesting ones on here. So let's look at MSN here because this is a high domain authority, domain rating. It's got a lot of search traffic. But what MSN is nowadays is essentially just a syndication platform. I'm seeing here CBS News, York Daily Record. And so when you're talking about authority, when you click into some of these, what you actually find is that they have kind of their own author profiles and author feeds. So now we're under York Daily Record. Now, I would venture to say that the York Daily Record are probably lower in the eyes of Google as compared to MSN. And I'm not saying this is a dig to York Daily Record. What I'm getting at is you have to look at some of these sites from the authority standpoint. And what a lot of SEOs have taken from some of the Google leak documentation is that Google looks at a site's authority based on the vertical. So author profile like this, a subcategory section within a site has to kind of establish its own authority. So on the surface, yes, you're getting a guest post link from MSN, but realistically, how authoritative is it? If you're going to get it placed in a highly authoritative section of the site, then yeah, maybe it is more valuable. But if you're going to get it placed on a profile that this guest post lister has just created filled with other guest post links, it's not going to be that valuable. There's a couple other reasons I want to get into as to why these sites are not valuable. And one of them is called SpamBrain. Google has something called SpamBrain, which they have used and talked about using to identify sites that exist only to buy and sell links. So where better to find something like this than a huge list that just exists out there? Remember, Google can see and read Google Sheets. I've seen them show up on the SERPs. So it's not like these are hidden from them in some way. Another one is that I believe Google does take action to devalue sites manually. I'll link to this in the show notes, but I had a conversation thread in LinkedIn once, and John Mueller from Google actually jumped in when somebody shared a guest post list like this, and John Mueller jumped in and just said, thanks, which to me just meant he was going to go in and devalue all of the links from those types of sites. So I think Google is very aware that people are out there gaming the system, and they're going to do what they can to devalue these sites. Before I get to the actual tactics, I want to address the kind of elephant in the room here. So if they don't work, why are so many people doing this? Why do so many lists exist? Well, I think it's because it's really hard to tell the value of an individual link. You might build 10 links and you'll see your traffic increase, but realistically, it might be one link that really moves the needle, and those 9 other links didn't do anything because they've been devalued by Google. I did an entire post on why you may not need as many links as you think. I think wrapping your head around this idea that you don't need quantity, you need quality links will help you get away from falling prey to lists like this. What we do know, and what we do have a lot of evidence backing, is the fact that high authority, highly relevant, and highly quality sites are the ones that do move the needle. So I promised at the beginning of this that I'd give you some tips on actually building links the right way. I did an entire video on this, but I'm going to break it down for you really quickly. And what I like about this strategy is that you're not actually only beholden to these sites that accept guest posts. You can actually pitch this type of guest post outreach to any site. You can do this by doing some keyword research. So if I was to pitch BuzzStream, I would look at keywords that are really valuable to BuzzStream and say, hey, this is the value that you would get. Here's the search volume, traffic value. Here's what your competitors are doing. Here's what the value they're getting out of it. And I can write a post like this to get you value. Show examples of work you've done in the past to also provide value to other sites. And that will lower that barrier and make it easier for the site to say yes to accepting your guest post. You're providing a lot more value than just spitting out a topic. You're making it really difficult for them to say no. And like I said, you don't even need to reach out to sites that accept guest posts. If you could do this the right way and find some people who may be low on writers, they may be looking for quality work and they just don't have the time to do it, you're going to make a compelling case that you can write a post on their site. And then you add your link into that post naturally. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. If you disagree with me or like what you hear, have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Thanks.